What's going on, PlayDate Community? Welcome back to another episode. My name is Franchovy, and in this series we're building your game. So, I haven't been on for a little while, and I'm getting back to it. So thank you all for your patience, and I'm happy to see more people coming in on the series. Now, the first thing I wanted to start with in this episode is actually list out like a to-do list, basically, for the things that we kind of want to have in the backlog, that we're going to get done at some point. So let's just get right into it. Let's create this to-do list. Here we have the project. As you can see, I have some stuff that's already open. I'm just going to create a new file in the top level directory, and I'm going to call it todo.md. So md is a markdown file. That's kind of like your typical format for anything that's kind of code base related, and you can stylize it. We're not going to do much. We're just going to put bullet points and maybe a title. So I'll put a title here with just a hashtag, and I'll write to-do list. So feel free, guys, to write whatever you want in your project so that you can get to it. And you can also send whatever requests you have to me. Drop them in the comments, send them on Discord or post them on Reddit or wherever. I'm going to put in the things that either I've read from you guys or that I personally think we need to put in just to make it more of a complete or better feeling game. So the first thing I wanted to take care of is actually improved movement. Like acceleration, for example. So we'll just because right now when you press the A button, the thing just moves without any kind of smoothing out. And I think it would feel a bit better if you accelerated, you get faster, and then when you let go, you have a few moments where you decelerate actually. It would just feel that much more dynamic. And once we introduce more position-based objectives, I think it would be a bit better. You will notice that I have an autocomplete. I'm hosting this locally on my computer, which is Olama. I'm gonna turn it off for now. Improved movement, including acceleration. We're gonna add sound effects and music. So the reason I haven't done that yet is because I want to get in touch with somebody I know who can take care of that stuff and make some nice little sound effects for us. I also think that we're maybe lacking a little bit of the gameplay completion, but I do want to show you guys how to do that stuff. So we will get it done soon. Then I wanted to introduce levels and walls. So kind of structures inside the game, which would basically then also lead into pathfinding for some enemies. And I guess before introducing levels and walls, we can add multiple enemy types. So this is kind of the list that I have in my mind for the game, and also based on what you guys have said. Feel free to post ideas, guys. This is what's keeping this series going. So with that said, we can jump into it. Now that I think about it, which of these things shall we pick today? Oh, sorry, one more thing. We can add scenes and accessibility menu options. Menu, more or less. So for scenes, we would have scene management and that kind of stuff going on. So actually today I'm going to take care of some of these things. So firstly, let's go into the improved movement. So thank you guys for sticking to this intro. We're going to get into the improved movement stuff. And let's get into it. So let's restart our game. When I press A, you'll notice that when I'm in game and I press A, you'll notice that the plane or the ship, the plane lol, moves in a kind of jagged way. It doesn't smoothly accelerate or smoothly decelerate. So what I want to do is I want to actually make it so that it's a slow acceleration and then it's a little bit of deceleration as well. So that should be relatively simple. I'll show you guys how to get to it. So let's open up the sprite for the player. So that's player.lua. And basically what we're going to keep track of is we're going to keep track of a velocity. So we're actually keeping track of the velocity in the file rather than in the class, which for now is okay because we only have one player ever in the game. So we don't need to keep track of a different velocity. However, what you'll notice is that this velocity is a constant, which means that actually we don't have a direction for it. So what we want to do is actually, we want to have an X and Y velocity. We want to add that velocity to the player's position every tick, every frame of the game. And we're gonna actually have, we're gonna modify this this velocity using an acceleration. So that's gonna be like the booster and the slowing down when you stop pressing the booster. So first of all, let's change the velocity so that it actually contains both the X and a Y value. So for that, I'm actually gonna use the geometry library of PlayDate. So I'm gonna go up at the top of the file, underneath GFX, I'm gonna create another one, which is called local geo, and then const, open brackets, close brackets around it, equals playdate.geometry. There we go. And so now I'm going to replace our velocity value. So I'm going to do local velocity equals geo.point, or I guess we could do a vector 2D. Point and vector 2D are almost the same. I mean, we could do a vector just to be clean. It's 0, 0 to start with, so we don't really care. Same thing with player :add. We're gonna do we're gonna go down this line about the velocity. I'm just gonna move it to the bottom of that function, and I'm gonna do velocity equals geovector2d new 0, 0. So just copy and paste the line. So now we need to change the update function. So this we're gonna replace. So I'm gonna comment out the velocity equals 5 and velocity equals 0. And I'm gonna do to do replace with vector values. And then there's going to be one more instance of velocity, and I have it on line 128, which is the get rotation components. So here we have a crank position in radians, and we have a velocity. So what's interesting is that this is actually going to be more or less like the input into our velocity. So right now we don't really have a specific use for this. We're going to be actually inserting our velocity line in the middle, because the top line here actually calculates where's the player going to go. So we're going to actually need to calculate that acceleration. Sorry, that's going to be the input line, the crank, and then we're going to have the calculate acceleration, and then we're going to have the collisions calculation. So I'm actually going to split these things up. So here, collisions. I'm going to do move and collisions. Then it's going to be calculate velocity above that. And then it's going to be get input velocity, acceleration, sorry. So this is actually going to be the acceleration. So in fact, what we're going to do is that we're going to change this velocity equals 5 and velocity equals 0 into acceleration equals 5 and acceleration equals 0. And I'm going to just create the local acceleration up here. So we can remove the to do because we took care of it. That's great. Good job. Woohoo! And so acceleration equals 5, acceleration equals 0. Then rotation components, we're not going to use velocity, we're going to use acceleration. And this is basically going to give us the AX and the AY as the two components of our acceleration. So in theory, if we just replace the velocity with our acceleration, it's basically an instant acceleration. We can do that as a placeholder for now and see whether this stuff works. So our line is going to be something like velocity equals geo.vector2d.new, and I'm going to do ax, ay. And then in the next line, I'm going to do move with collision self.x plus velocity.dx, and then velocity.dy. Is that correct capitalization? Yes, okay. And we should be good if I check velocity, and I scan through the file. I shouldn't see any other instances of velocity. So it looks good. We can try it now. And so for now, the behavior should be exactly the same as it was before, because there's no smoothing in the acceleration. So let's run it, press A to start. And as you can see, the behavior should be exactly the same because the acceleration, again, is instant. So It's looking good. So this is going to be our magic line, where basically we can smooth out the velocity rather than having it as an instant thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to do velocity equals, and then we're going to do something like this. Velocity plus geo.vector 2d ax and ay. And now what this is going to do, actually, if you leave it like that and say hello to my kitty, woohoo! All right, thank you. If you do it like this, the acceleration is going to go crazy because it's going to be like 5 as a velocity per tick. So that means that if you wait 2 ticks, it's going to go 10, 3, 15, and as you know, 30 ticks per second. That means you're going to fly out of the game, and you know what? Let's try it because it's our game. We can do whatever we want. Yahoo! All right. Amazing. All right. Oh, that was great. Let's slow it down a little bit. I'm gonna do times 0. Now wait a minute. Here's a funny thing. The velocity should actually be slowing down. So the acceleration needs to be negative compared to the current velocity, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these lines here after the A button press. I'm going to take that if statement, and the calculate velocity, I'm actually going to use it there. So instead of creating the acceleration here, we're going to have 2 different lines. So if A button is pressed, we're going to do geo.vector2d.new. Get rotation components. So in theory, we don't need this line anymore because we have our new polar, which might be a new thing in the SDK. Anyways, I haven't seen it before. And here we're going to say 5, which is going to be our, no, 1. This is going to be our initial acceleration. And we're going to do the other one, which is the angle, and that's going to be crank position radians. Although angle should be specified in degrees, so I think we can just do crank position. Yes, it seems we have that over here. Yes, perfect. All right, so this should be our acceleration. It's just 1. And then we can remove in the other case, basically when you're not pressing the A button, we want to do velocity times, I don't know, we could do the slowdown is like 0.5. Now again, we're going to go back to this line and make sure that it caps out at a max speed and it accelerates towards that max speed, because right now it's just going to keep accelerating if you hold the A button. Maybe that's what you want. Maybe you can leave it that way. Anyways, let's restart the game. And our crank position is kind of wrong, but you can see that it slowly starts and it slowly slows down, which is pretty cool. It's not bad, honestly. It slows down a bit quick, so I'm gonna do times 0.8. So the closer to 1 you'll have it there, the faster the slowdown, the slower the slowdown will be. If you have it at 0, then it'll be instant. And you can see it kind of slides around. All right, I gotta fix the crank position thing. What is that, minus 90 or something? It feels very wrong. That's backwards, let's do plus 90. Alrighty, we're facing the right direction. Okay, yes, and although the max speed is still too fast, so I'm sliding around like crazy. But this is looking pretty good. We're almost there. Velocity plus geovector new polar. Let me think for a second. Okay, you know what we can do? We're gonna add this velocity equals velocity times 0.8 above the A button pressed. And then what happens is that if you do equals, then basically we're adding to that velocity. But if we don't press A, then we're removing it from it. So it's going to cap out at the equation of like velocity times 0.8, where the 0.2 is equal to 1. I don't know if that makes sense. But basically, if this amount is smaller than this one, then the ship is going to go faster. If this amount is bigger, then the ship is going to actually stay the same speed. Anyways, let's try it. Maybe I've got that totally wrong. And you can see that we're doing it. Yoo-hoo! Nice. All right, that was way simpler than I thought. We're gonna make it go a bit faster because that's a bit frustratingly slow. So start. Woo! And that's a bit fast. Let's just do 2. All right. Yahoo! Oh man, that's pretty satisfying. Although it feels like a snowboarding game with that kind of speed on it. And so you should see that actually there's a really nice behavior where if you're accelerating one direction, if you're accelerating in one direction, then to turn, you actually have to like counteract that speed in order to turn around. So like the translation isn't instant when you turn, which makes it feel really real, which I like a lot. So 2 is maybe still a bit too fast. Let's do it like this. We're actually gonna extract these 2 variables out. So the 0.8 and the 2, we're gonna extract them out to the top of the file. And this is just kind of like a cleanliness thing. We're gonna do, so first of all, let's add a const to this image sprite player because that's not changing. Then we're gonna have a local acceleration const. We can make that a const, and let's do 1.8. Okay, I can even add per tick, per frame, acceleration per frame, and or let's call it acceleration per frame max for maximum. And we're gonna do slowdown per frame, and we're gonna do equals. So 0.2 was pretty good. So we're not doing 0.8. I'm gonna do the 0.2, and then we'll do 1 minus slowdown per frame. And I'll make this const as well. So that will prevent us from accidentally replacing it somehow. So velocity times 1 minus slowdown per frame. So let's leave it as this, velocity times 1 minus slowdown per frame. And then if A button is pressed, then the GeoVector 2D new polar, which sounds funny when you say it very fast, the 2D vector, GeoVector 2D polar. GeoVector 2D new polar. GeoVector 2D new polar. Yeah, I'm cat sitting. That's my life now. Let's see, crank position, sorry, acceleration. Yeah, so by the way, you might be asking yourself, why does Franchovy write like, instead of saying max acceleration, which sounds a lot better, why do you say acceleration per frame max? Well, that's because when I want an acceleration value, it doesn't matter if I have an acceleration per frame, acceleration per whatever, acceleration per frame minimum, acceleration per frame super big. Like the point is that you write acceleration and then you get all your acceleration values. So you start with what it is specifically, naming conventions, right? Start with what it is and then describe what kind of thing, like more specifically after you say what it is. And in general, you go from most broad to most specific. You don't start with the specific to broad because then that gets confusing when you want like, okay, max acceleration, max units, max bullets, like they're completely wrong values. Like they have nothing to do with each other. Anyways, acceleration per frame max, that's it. We should be good. All right, that feels pretty good, guys. I really like this this movement. I'm actually gonna do 2 little things. I won't do it in this video because we're out of time. But I'm gonna speed up the bullet speeds and I'm gonna change the enemy movements. So that's gonna be coming up next, guys. Make sure to stay in touch and drop your ideas down below. Right there. You see? Just scroll. Make me go up. Oh no, I'm scrolling up. Ah! All right. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.